Welcome to our channel. I am Pam and I will try to take you around the world. Today we have this goal, to visit Budapest in one day. The undisputed symbol of Budapest, the Hungarian parliament overlooks the Danube, and is one of the first things to see in the city. Its neo-Gothic architecture is closely reminiscent of the Palace of Westminster in London, but stands out for its dome and its enormous size. It is in fact 268 meters long and 96 meters high, the same height as St. Stephen's Cathedral. The Parliament meets inside, but it is also home to the National Library, the head of government and the president. Budapest is the result of the unification of the cities of Buda, Óbuda, and Pest. Buda Castle is a perfect compendium of the city's history. First built in 1243, it was decided upon by King Béla IV of Hungary, horrified by the looting committed 2 years earlier by Mongols against neighboring Pest. From 1410 to 1420, however, the first major expansion of the fortress took place at the behest of Sigismund of Luxembourg, King of the Holy Roman Empire. The result was a castle so impregnable that the Ottomans were only able to penetrate it once the city had capitulated. In 1715, they began the Baroque construction of the castle, which continued throughout the 18th century. Inside we find churches, public buildings, medieval palaces, and, above all, the Historical Museum and the National Gallery. The National Gallery is located inside Budapest Castle. The museum occupies 4 rooms of the palace and houses the most important works of Magyar art from antiquity to the present day. Very interesting is the lapidarium on the first floor, where we find a rich collection of stone artifacts dating from the Roman period and found during the reconstruction of the fortress. Among the many works on display, the bas-reliefs of King Matthias Corvinus, ruler of Hungary from 1458 to 1490, and his consort Beatrice of Aragon are also worthy of special mention. The gallery houses numerous late Gothic altarpieces and some of the most important works by the great national artists of the 19th and 20th centuries. Pest is the newest part of the city and is characterized by a frenetic, modern and creative soul, thanks to the presence of shops of young artists and innovative fashion designers. Here you will find the Jewish quarter with the Great Synagogue, the iconic Parliament building, the Ethnographic Museum and St. Stephen's Cathedral, but it is also the center of nightlife, thanks to the presence of many clubs, including the famous ruined pubs. In the Buda district, not far from the castle, you will find the Fisherman's Bastion, a belvedere straight out of a fairy tale. In the bastion you will also find the Church of St. Matthias, whose full name is Our Lady of the Castle Hill, one of the oldest buildings in Budapest. It is Gothic in style, and has more than 700 years of history behind it. Inside, it houses the Museum of Sacred Art, with sacred relics and replicas of the royal crown. The chain bridge was built to connect the 2 towns of Buda and Pest. It was commissioned in 1849 by Count István Székely, who regretted not having reached his dying father across the river in time. Indeed, for a long time the only link between the 2 towns was a movable bridge whose use was limited to the warm season. Winter temperatures often prevented the crossing due to ice, with inevitable negative repercussions on the connections of people and goods. Thanks to the expertise of 2 Scottish engineers, out came a beautiful infrastructure whose charm does not leave tourists indifferent. During the Second World War, the bridge was blown up by the Germans to block the Russian advance, but in 1949 reconstruction began. A curiosity, it only takes 3 minutes by funicular railway to reach the castle from the chain bridge. Built in 1870, The funicular was also destroyed by the Germans during World War II. St. Stephen's Basilica has precious marble, mosaics, stucco, and gilded decorations that contribute to the charm of this neoclassical church that can accommodate up to 8,000 worshippers. Worth seeing are the Chapel of the Holy Rite, to the left of the high altar, and the dome, which can be reached on foot or by 4 convenient lifts. In the former is a glass shrine with the mummified right hand of St. Stephen, patron saint of the city and nation. From the dome there is a wonderful view of Pest with a detail of the square in front of the church. Andrássy Boulevard is by far the most beautiful and famous promenade in Hungary. It is no coincidence that UNESCO listed the street as a World Heritage Site in 2002. Along this boulevard is concentrated most of the cafes, restaurants, theaters, and luxury boutiques in the city. The Great Synagogue of Budapest is the largest in Europe, and one of the largest in the world, and represents a vivid expression of Jewish culture in continental Europe. It is a miscellany of styles that holds together Byzantine, Gothic, Romanesque, and Moorish, summarizing all the influences Budapest has absorbed over the centuries. The cemetery attached to the synagogue houses a weeping willow tree where the names of all Hungarian victims of the extermination perpetrated by the Nazis are engraved. Also near the synagogue is the Jewish Museum with a rich collection of objects related to the customs and traditions of Budapest's Jewish community. To visit Budapest without experiencing at least one of its famous baths is to miss out. Celts, Romans, Turks, Austro-Hungarians, there is no people or domination that has not added something to the bath complexes that were gradually built in the city. The Hungarian National Museum, in the heart of Budapest, allows you to discover the entire history of the country from its birth until 1990, admiring important relics and works, some dating back to prehistoric times. Among the things not to be missed is the coronation mantle of the kings of Hungary. This is one of the most interesting museums in the city and is housed in one of the most beautiful and impressive historical palaces. Founded back in 1802, it was inaugurated in 1846 thanks to Count Ferenc II. It may seem strange to find a cafe among Budapest's must-see attractions, but the New York Cafe is right up there with it, as it is considered the most beautiful cafe in the world and is even a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a 4-story cafe that harmoniously mixes Renaissance, Baroque and Art Nouveau styles, complete with an art gallery frescoed by Hungarian artists, Venetian chandeliers, marble columns, a veritable museum. Today it even hosts concerts and gala events. So don't be surprised by the not-so-popular prices. The Budapest Opera House, inaugurated in September 1884, is one of the most elegant and beautiful buildings in the entire city, in neo-Renaissance style with Gothic influences, rich in columns, ornaments, frescoes, and sculptures by local artists. Thank you for your time, and if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos.